Tonight, opposition NDC and its minority in parliament split heads over bill to disband party militias as the party accuses President Akufo-Addo of double standards in his fight against the menace.
We think that amounts to double standards on the part of the president. You make all the right noises about uprooting vigilantism, but all his actions indicate that he doesn't want vigilantism to be eliminated.
But of what use is the Peace Council mediated talks between the two leading parties over the disbandment of militias if a bill is already in Parliament? We will hear from other parties as consultations begin on the bill.
What the president is doing is making the Peace Council work difficult.
Top Story is brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans, your success, our passion. Gasem, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting. Ready? And Nationwide Medical Health Insurance, your healthcare family. My name is Gifty Ando-Apia. Tonight, there is disagreement between the NDC as a political party and its minority in Parliament. The party is accusing the president of double standards for introducing legislation to ban activities of political party militia groups in spite of ongoing talks being mediated by the Peace Council on the same matter. The party believes the president's earlier intention to have the bill passed under a certificate of urgency smacks of hypocrisy. Here is a news desk report on the new Vigilantism and Related Offences Bill, which is before Parliament.
The bill does not only outlaw political party vigilantism, it also specifically criminalizes the existence of land guards. The law prohibits the formation, organization, operation, or activities of a political party vigilante group. It also prohibits the membership of such a group. It imposes a stiff punishment, up to 25 years in jail, for violating any of the clauses. Even if you aid and abet and fund any political party vigilante group, you may be jailed up to 15 years. The leadership of the Constitution, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee believe it is possible the bill will be passed into law on the 29th of April. Immediately the law comes into force, however, 7 known vigilante groups named in the law, including the pro-MPP Invincible Forces and the NDC-affiliated Hawks, will be outlawed. The leaders of these groups are enjoined by law to write to the Attorney General, notifying her of the formal disbandment of the political party vigilante group within 1 month. The notice must include the date of formal disbandment and the names of the past and present members of the disbanded group. Failure to do so can attract a jail term of up to 15 years. The chairman of the committee, Ben Abdallah, says there will be consultations before the bill is passed into law.
So that is a report that sums up what this bill really entails. Well, there's been the raging debate about the fact that there are existing laws and those laws can deal with the situation. And people have said that these laws have not really been implemented. While addressing a mini rally at Sankore as part of his tour of the Ahafo region, President Akufo-Addo said the content of this bill, when passed, will be strictly enforced.
And Parliament. Our Parliament for some way about law against vigilantism, law against thuggery in Ghanaian politics. The Ebano, XSA. You want to treat country no crowd, but before it's election also, I'm running so, let me at you, and you also I agree. The Parliament passes some running a year. You did someone in the Kwana and run about with you. But before I said so, so you're minister, or you're regional minister, or you're member of Parliament, or you're BBI Bureau, who can be, and run so many ways.
That is President Akufo-Addo there speaking on his tour of the Ahafo region. Now, the president is essentially saying in that sound clip that you heard that the AG has laid a draft bill to deal with vigilantism before Parliament, and that the law will not only deal with the perpetrators of political violence, but those that sponsor these vigilante groups. So let me take you to Parliament now. Will the minority there agree that the bill should be passed under a certificate of urgency?
I had also said before that we didn't need another law. But having seen it, the law appears to be treating political vigilantism as sui generis, having the character of its own, unlike previous criminal conduct or criminal conduct that has already been outlawed. This particular one has characteristics that are peculiar to that grouping, such a grouping. For instance, they come together for a lawful purpose of belonging to a political party, and that is an exercise of their constitutional right of association. They also come together because they want to campaign and for their political parties to win power and exercise the power for their benefit, and it's a lawful activity. But in doing so, they are susceptible to manipulation by political parties for the benefit of those political parties, and the manipulation goes into areas that are clearly unlawful. When they are arrested, they have the protection or even want the insurance from these heavyweights in political parties who insulate them from prosecution. So it's quite generous. And so, being that, I will not quibble over an attempt to introduce a new legislation to deal with the phenomenon or conquer. Now, what I've also been told at the committee meeting is that it appears that existing legislation treats many of the acts of political vigilantism as misdemeanors. This is a first major attempt to take the offenses of political vigilante groups out of the realm of misdemeanors into felonies, which can attract between 5 and 25 years, depending on the gravity of the offense.
So that is Sinusa Hussaini, who is the constitutional minority spokesperson on Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee in Parliament. They're laying out reasons why this bill really is imperative and why it will help deal with the problem. But the national organizer of the PNC, Desmond Nto, says laying the vigilante bill ahead of the mediation by the Peace Council will only make their work really difficult.
If the argument is that there are existing laws and that this is much ado about nothing, I may agree to that to some extent, because you have an existing law that you have failed to enforce. So if you go on that tangent, the DPP has a position, and that is waste of time and waste of taxpayers' money, because there are legal regime to check vigilante and land guards.
I'll tell you what other political parties are saying about this. But as we indicated earlier on, the minority in Parliament, the NDC and its minority in Parliament have split heads over this particular bill. So you earlier heard from Sinusa Hussaini, who is the minority spokesperson in Parliament. Let's hear from the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, who is saying the legislation is a slight on President Akufo-Addo's commitment to fight the threat of party militias.
Thank you very much. We think that amounts to double standards on the part of the president, because he has created the impression that he will put a bill before Parliament, and he believes that the processes of legislation, i.e. discussion at the level of the committee, and then the seeking for and receiving memoranda and holding public fora as part of the legislation will afford ordinary Ghanaians ample opportunity to input into the process so that we will get a very good bill that will help us deal with vigilantes. But unfortunately, when the bill was submitted to Parliament, he requested for a passage under a certificate of urgency. That means 48 hours. So we cannot have a president who claims that the process, he wants the process to, be all-inclusive, and yet shutting the door by requesting for the bill to be passed under certificate of urgency. So in that case, how and when would the inputs of the public be incorporated in the bill?
No, but
General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asedu Nketia, there. He joins us on the line so we can take this conversation a bit further. Momentarily, I'll introduce to you what the other political parties, the PNC and the PPP, have also been saying about this. But let's clear this out with the NDC. General Secretary, sir, you're welcome to the show. Thank you very much for your time this evening here on Topstory.
You're welcome, my sister.
Okay. So first of all, how do we reconcile your position on this matter with that of the minority? Indeed, the spokesperson for the minority, which is representing your party in Parliament, has said that looking at the details of this bill, it does look like a great idea to solving the problem.
The problem, thank you very much. The issue I'm raising is that why should it be passed, or why should the president recommend that it should be passed under certificate of urgency when that same president has said that the passage of the bill will give opportunity for them to input into it so that we can have a great bill? That's all.
But the people are saying that if you look at the details, this is good to go, because it actually took a very long time to get you, the two main political parties involved in this, to sit down to even begin the conversation in the first place.
I'm surprised about that. It will make things difficult. The person who makes things difficult cannot turn around to take other decisions because things have been difficult. We have, from the beginning, said that, look, let us get everybody involved, stakeholders involved, so we can find a lasting solution to the issue. It was the government side that kept insisting that this thing can only be dealt with between MPP and NDC. That is the cause of the delay. Eventually, they came around to accept that indeed it must be a stakeholder, a national stakeholder dialogue. That will be the best forum to deal with the issue. So if there has been a delay in accepting the fact of establishing a framework for national stakeholder dialogue, the one who is responsible for the delay is the president. So he cannot come out to say that because there is a delay, I'm acting otherwise. So are we looking for a solution to a national problem, or we are looking at scoring political points?
Well, you think he's scoring political points, but he's put together this bill. The government has put together this bill. A lot of people have looked at the details and they say it is good, including your own spokesperson on the Constitutional and Legal Affairs in Parliament. They're all saying that it is good to go. It is good to go on the certificate of urgency as well. That's what the minority is saying.
I have been in Parliament for 12 years, and I can tell you on authority that every bill that is submitted on the surface of it without discussion appears to be like a good bill. But there has never been any single bill that has passed through Parliament without amendment. That tells you that what appears to be a good bill on the surface, when you get into the details, that's where you find the devil.
Have you looked at the bill?
The reason why a bill is subjected to 3 readings is that bring the inputs of outsiders so that you can get a quality work.
But Ms. Angetia, have you looked at the bill yourself?
Come again?
Have you looked at the bill yourself? Have you read through it?
Yes, I've read through it. But I'm saying that whatever it is, give opportunity for people to input into the bill. That is why a bill, when it is laid in Parliament, it's referred to a committee. Then the committee will receive memoranda from people across the country, and particularly where it is concerning vigilante, where the president himself has accepted that it is a national problem. When it is a national problem, you must look for national solutions. And there are many, many stakeholders who are eager to participate in finding solutions. So why would the president accept that the procedure of passing a bill will give opportunity for citizens to input into it?
The committee...
The president will come out to say that the thing should be passed on the certificate of urgency, denying the other citizens from participating. That is my worry.
Ms. Hangasia, the committee, the chairman of the committee has indicated that they're open to accept input from everybody. Is the NDC willing to do this?
There has been an attempt to pass it on the certificate of urgency. The reason why it hasn't been passed is that they have failed to get majority on the committee. That is why the report has not even been laid.
So you don't think that when they say that they're open to inputs, that it is a genuine request for information to make it better?
My sister, if the president wants it on the certificate of urgency, nothing prevents them, even when Parliament is on recess, from recalling Parliament to come and pass it within 2 days on the certificate of urgency. And that is what we should all be worried about.
What we are all worried about is how to get this problem dealt with, and we're hoping, Ms. Anketia, we're hoping that this bill will help deal with that problem. Are you, as the NDC, willing to add your input to make this better, to make this bill a better one that helps us achieve the result we're looking for?
They are locking us out, so nobody gets the opportunity to make it better, and that is why you are encouraging. I am saying that let the process flow the way parliamentary bills are passed, and then the committee responsible will get the opportunity to receive memoranda and conduct public hearings and all others, so that at the end of it we will get a better bill.
So you want a public forum?
Let us do it within 48 hours, which we are speaking against.
If I get you clear, Ms. Anketia, you want public fora. You want public fora on this bill, and you want it to go around as much as possible.
Maybe you have a problem because you
no, do I understand you clearly? This is my understanding of what you're saying. Am I getting you clear?
The problem is that you appear not to understand the process of passing bills in Parliament. When the bill is laid, it is referred to a committee, and that committee, in deliberating on the bill, will receive memoranda from people across the country. They actually will advertise.
And I'm telling you also, sir, I'm telling you, Mr. Sedun Ketia, sir, that the committee's chair, even though they're passing this on the certificate of urgency, is saying that they're open to take inputs. Are you, the NDC, willing to do that? You have not answered that.
Maybe you don't understand what you
help me understand, and my listeners as well, sir.
When we are saying that certificate of urgency, it must be passed in 48 hours. So when are you going to take those inputs?
Mr. Sedun Ketia, are you there?
I am saying that you may not understand the issue when we talk about passing a bill on the certificate of urgency. When that happens, it means Parliament has decided to pass the bill, go through all the processes of passage in 48 hours.
That has not happened, obviously, has it?
At that point, where are you going to take input from the public?
We'll need to get some answers on that from the chairman of the committee, but that has absolutely nothing to do with my understanding of the processes in Parliament, Mr. Sedun Ketia. But then again, are you willing, if there is that opportunity, to put in to make that input that helps make this bill better?
Oh, my sister, if I'm not interested in bringing the input, why am I calling for opportunity to bring the input?
Very well. Very well.
We are interested in bringing the input, but they are locking the door. And we are saying that open the door so we can bring in input. That's all that we are fighting for.
Very well. Mr. Sedun Ketia, thank you very much for your time this evening here on Top Story. And hopefully we'll get some answers from the chairman of the committee in Parliament to this request to make this input without necessarily going by the 48-hour process of certificate of urgency, as it seems to have been the initial plan. But let's get on the line again and speak to Adam Bona. Adam Bona is a security expert. He joins us on the line. Well, he'll be joining us momentarily. But as I indicated, this is the split if you like, the split head I was talking about between the minority in Parliament and the party NDC's position on this matter. But let's go ahead and hear from what the other political parties have been saying. Earlier on, you had the PPP. Let's hear from the PNC, the national organizer. Desmond Into says laying the vigilante bill ahead of the mediation by the Peace Council will make their work difficult.
But if the bill is in Parliament, for me, I would suppose that we should just conclude by saying that it should be treated as criminality. If you are being caught, you should be treated as criminal. Moreover, those who are already in institutions who we know are part of these vigilante groups should be removed, and whatever punishment that is supposed to be given to them, we do that.
Should the Peace Council stop the engagement?
Well, what the president is doing is making the Peace Council's work difficult, because at the end of the day, if they mediate and you send a bill to Parliament, what do you expect them to do? So for me, let's see what is in the bill. If we have add up, we do that, and then it becomes a proper law, and then we can all abide with that, rather than wasting our time, sit down and mediate, and nothing will come out of it.
So that's the PNC there. Well, General Secretary of the PPP, Murtala Mohammed, is of the view the vigilante bill will not achieve its goal if it is not enforced like other laws.
If the argument is that there are existing laws and that this is much ado about nothing, I may agree to that to some extent, because you see, you have an existing law that you have failed to enforce. So if you go on that tangent, the DPP has a position, and that is waste of time and waste of taxpayers' money, because there are legal regime to check vigilante and land guards, barbarism, or what have you.
So are you of the view that this new bill will more or less achieve nothing, like it has been the case in the past?
If they will not enforce the law, what would it like? Already you know there is an existing law that can deal with matters regarding hooliganism, barbarism, or what have you. There are laws to check it already. This is a specific law on vigilante and what have you. It's not bad if they want to add to the laws, but if they refuse to enforce it like they are not enforcing the existing laws, it's a waste of time.
So you've had the PNC and you've had the PPP as well. Well, momentarily we'll be hoping to raise Adam Bona on the line, so we carry this conversation forward. Adam Bona actually joins me on the line right now. He's a security expert. Mr. Bona, thank you for your time this evening here on Top Story. Have you seen the bill yourself?
Yes, I have. I've gone through it. I'm actually making recommendations to the committee, the legal committee, those who are in charge of this in Parliament. Yes, I'm going to give my own version of the bill to them.
Very well. Very well. But one of the key questions that have come up since this bill was laid is that what use will the Peace Council mediator talks between the two leading parties be over the disbandment of militias if indeed a bill has already been sent to Parliament?
Well, I have asked myself that question, but I believe that the president and his advisors, in his own wisdom, gave a 1 week ultimatum for the MPP and the NDC to come together and tell him how they are going to disband the goons among them or the vigilante groups among them. And I think if you look at where we are today, is more than a week. And so, understandably, the president probably feels he's got to do something, because then once he promises to do this, he has to try and deliver. But I would have wished that he would have allowed the Peace Council to go on with the mediation efforts to see how it is going to go. But all the same, it's in Parliament, and so we can all make an effort to contribute to it and see how that is also going to pan out.
Right. But one of the key stakeholders, of course, is the NDC, and I've just spoken to the General Secretary right now concerning how the bill has already been advanced. He's not exactly excited about the process. He believes that there is an attempt to cut them out of the process, to cut them out of to get their input not represented in this bill.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't think it's been passed into law. I had a conversation with one of the committee members in Parliament last night, and he did promise me that no, they won't pass it today. They are waiting till the 29th of this month, when they will take all other inputs and then see how, if there is a need to extend it, then they do that. And so I think it opens the opportunity for all others who think they have suggestions and ideas to be brought on board to do that.
Right.
And so that's what I think. I just think that we should all make effort at trying to contribute to it and see how that would help in disbanding the vigilante and call them the land guards.
Very well. I guess that his issue really has been with the fact that this has been raised on the certificate of urgency. But let's not get into those dynamics. From your security perspective, I'd like to find out from you whether or not you think the sanctions in this document, and you say you're doing your own recommendations, do you find the sanctions deterrent enough to deal with this problem?
No, I don't find them deterrent enough, because then you realize that they try to categorize them where certain personalities would be jailed if you were caught with a firearm as a member of a vigilante group. I think you get the highest punishment, 25 years. But I don't find that deterrent enough, because then, you see, the financiers of these groups, assuming you jailed one and you are not able to hit hard in their pocket as out of jail, then you really haven't done anything. And so I don't see the recommendations in terms of sanctions to be deterring enough. I think that we can do better. And so I am expecting to see more stiffer sentences, more stiffer actions in the bill if eventually becomes the law. And so
and I believe that you're putting all of these in your recommendations to the House.
Yes, I'm doing that. Yes, I'm doing that.
Very well. Very well. Mr. Bona, I will say a very big thanks to you for your time this evening here on Top Story. Adam Bona there, he's a security expert helping us. Well, we're wrapping up on Top Story, but before we go, we can quickly do a dash to Parliament, where the House is attending to some business before it goes on recess. Now, happening now is a secret ballot to determine the fate of the Bono East Regional Minister designate Evelyn Kumi Richardson. Questions over her PhD have divided the House, but we can get the very latest from parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku Gakpo. Hello, Joseph.
Hello, Gift.
Is the voting over?
Not yet. More than 100 MPs have voted already. So what's happening is that it's a secret ballot. They are being called one after the other in alphabetical order. And then when they show up, they take a ballot paper and check whether they are voting yes or otherwise. More than 100 of them have voted already, and the rest are continuing. And the minority have insisted they won't approve her nomination because they think she committed perjury when she appeared before the committee. They say she spent more than $54,000 of state funds on a trip outside, which they think she needs to refund. And so we are all waiting for that process to complete and the result.
We also know that major decisions have been taken in Parliament today regarding especially the maternity block at the Komfo Teaching Hospital.
Exactly. A loan to the tune of 155 million euros has been approved by the House for the Komfo maternity block, which has been abandoned since the 1970s. You recall when Seth Kwame Boateng produced the documentary Next to Die, it was featured highly in that. And MPs are confident that when that block is eventually completed in the next 3 years, will help deal with the maternal mortality challenges in the country. And finally, MPs, in fact, a request has come to Parliament from the Finance Minister that he's seeking a tax waiver to the tune of $82 million for the Sino Hydro project, some equipment that they intend bringing in, that $500 million project to build roads across the country. And the minority MPs are objecting that they won't support this, but it's expected that once the voting is done, it's one of the items the House will deal with before they go on break a little later this evening.
Joseph Opoku Gakpo, the parliamentary correspondent. Joseph, thank you. Top Story is brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans, your success, our passion. Gasem, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting. Ready? A nationwide medical health insurance, your healthcare family. I am Gifty Andopia. Evans Mensah is standing by. Well, what do you think about the new uniforms that your children are supposed to wear? What do you think about the adjustments that are being made to the curriculum? Evans Mensah connect very shortly.
It's time to experience something different, unexpected, and definitely beyond banking. It's a new era at GCB Bank, Ghana's most welcoming bank, where we offer